Greetings, dear viewers. I'm Coil Quick Card, and welcome back to Minecraft. More importantly, though, today marks 3 years since I uploaded the very first video to my channel. Well, since I released it. I think I actually uploaded it a few days earlier, but let's not worry about that. It marks 3 years that this channel has been going. And I am extremely proud of that. Today, I really don't want to sit and focus on the gameplay. What I want to do is talk about how my channel came to be. I have always been a gamer. As far as my memory goes, I have always known myself as a gamer. I love games. I am more passionate about them probably than anything else that exists. But I did not grow up in a family of gamers. My family, I am so lucky to have them. They have supported me and helped me in more ways than I could ever even remember, let alone manage to recount. And even with my channel, they might not watch, because honestly, this just isn't really a type of content that would interest them. But they have never dissuaded me. And if there is something that I really want them to take a look at, really want their feedback on, they'll watch it, and they'll provide it. I am exceedingly lucky. But they're not gamers. They do not share my passion. And what's more, I don't really think that it's even something that they can understand well. I don't hold that against them at all. Certainly, I am not fully able to comprehend some of their passions. And I do not demand it of them, nor even do I particularly expect it. But it does mean that I grew up lonely. And that loneliness was further enhanced by moving, changing schools, changing homes, it wasn't particularly unstable. It's just that we were decently well off, and there were other opportunities, other places. So I've lived in a lot of places. I went to several schools. It was not until my middle school years that I even ever really had a sense that stability even existed. Until then, I didn't really even know that persistence in life could be a thing, let alone be able to desire it or seek it out. It simply was life the way that I knew it. And so, as a result, for a significant portion of my life, I have been lonely. And not having people to share my passions with was one of the factors in that loneliness. The idea to do a channel started during my long years on probation. Those were the loneliest years of my life. And I tried to find comfort and human connection in anything that I could. I couldn't play games online. I couldn't really watch anything online. I didn't really know anyone else that I could talk to. It was just me having to figure out what I was supposed to do with myself. So I started journaling. Every night, or at least once a day, for several years, I kept a daily journal. Or tried my hardest to, at least. And I will be honest, when I started it, I fully expected and believed that what I was actually writing was a lengthy suicide note. Something that would be left behind when I finally succumbed to my depression. that didn't happen. And eventually, I stopped seeing that journal in such a grim way. And I just enjoyed the act of chronicling. It was quite therapeutic, actually. After a few years on probation, I started keeping what I called a gamer's log. I would play games that I had never played before, but which I had always wanted to get around to. Games like any Final Fantasy after 7, Rune Factory 4 and 5, the newer Pokemon games when they came out. I would play them. And I would write about my experiences with those games. And that was where I started to form the idea that maybe I just wanted to go do Let's Plays. I knew it would be years before I would have the opportunity. I knew that even at the time I first thought of it, it was already a field oversaturated to the point where I would likely never achieve any real measure of success. But it's what I wanted to do. And that's why less than a month after I was off probation, my first video went up. I open every video by saying, "Greetings, dear viewers." Dear viewers. It's a phrase that grew out of one I used very commonly during my journaling days. I would often write, "Dear reader." Not like you would start a letter, but just in addressing someone, I would call that person my dear reader. I never knew who my dear reader would be, or why they would be reading my words, though I certainly hoped that it would be someone who cared who I was and was trying to learn more. My dear reader was a human connection that I carved out of nothing, when it was one of the only ways that I could have any connection at all. I loved my dear reader. I cared about sharing things with them that they would think were interesting, or at least useful to know. And every time I wrote the words, "Dear reader," I did it knowing that I would probably never meet my dear reader. That they would likely be separated from me in time and in space by distances too great to cross. But still I wrote for them, because I had no one else to write for. And I certainly didn't hold myself in any kind of esteem worthy of the effort. But I hoped that it would matter to someone, somewhere, someday. I hoped desperately that it would matter to my dear reader. When I started making videos, I simply adapted the phrase. And now, instead of writing words with a pen for my dear reader, I make videos and post them for my dear viewer. And again, I do it with no real understanding and very little expectation. I do not know who my dear viewer is. I do not know where and when my dear viewer is. And I don't know if the things that I create have any actual value to my dear viewer. I will admit that I did expect my channel would grow faster than it has. I figured that at a 3-year mark I would have at least some kind of a regular audience, even if it was only measured by a few dozen. I thought that my expectations were realistic. When in fact I had simply been ridiculously optimistic. Which, admittedly, may have less to do with the nature of what I produce and more with the fact that I have basically dedicated no energy whatsoever to actually promoting it. I guess it's just because I'm so comfortable with the concept of my dear viewer. I simply have an unshakable faith that someday, somehow, the things I create will find people that they matter to. And that makes it worth doing. Even if I never really get to see it done. It may sound grim, but Honestly, I do not lament this choice. I do not regret the path it has taken. It has followed much in the way that I always anticipated. When it comes to digital media, there is no telling for just how long these videos will be available to people. It could be a matter of just a few years. It could very well also be that we have crossed a threshold as a civilization, and that those things which can be recorded digitally may live on forever. I don't know. I don't even think I have much of a preference. My only real criteria for satisfaction is that I want what I create. These videos, the stories that I write, the things that I truly pour my heart and soul into. I just want them to find my dear viewer. Whoever they are, wherever they are, whenever they are. I want to feel like I had an impact on someone's life. The way that so many other amazing people have had an impact on mine. That would be enough for me. That is all it would take for me to feel completely fulfilled with my life. And I think, no, I believe in some corner of my mind that persists, regardless of rationality or chance, or the slow march of time. There is a part of me that simply believes that if I keep creating things, that they will find people that they matter to. And there is another part of me, a part I try to ignore, that always whispers back, saying that I will never achieve this goal. I hope that part is wrong. I really hope that part is wrong. Oh, and also, this is a hardcore world where I'm going to try and track down an ancient city and kill a warden. So, yeah, that's a thing I'm going to do on my own time because I don't anticipate it going well. Anyway, I hope that this has not been too much of a downer. Thank you for being with me, though, today. Because if you are seeing this, if this actually means something to you, then maybe you are my dear, dear viewer. And I will see you all on the next one.